I'm just a few minutes later than I'd like to be because the power of technology.
No, I'm still trying to get notes ready.
I was trying to be nice.
No, let's be frank. As
All
in the
right.
Amy Winehouse album. Um,
What about the movie?
I completely forgot about that. Even though I saw a trailer for it because they were pushing independent film because of the London Film Festival
All right.
or something. Uh,
We got a lot to talk about tonight. But obviously, whenever anything happens of worth, we kind of let the show take an immediate backseat.
yep.
I was working yesterday. I guess you would, yeah. I was working yesterday, and all of a sudden, I get a message from Ashley out of the absolute blue, and he sends me a message, and it basically said, "Ask me about a video," and I said I was wondering what was going on. He says, "If you got the vid," and I was like, "I don't want to delete it if you haven't. I want to shoot a brief Bobby tribute video, and the TV reviews upload overnight." And I was like, "What's going on?"
Trust me, I was in the middle of doing Elite Force podcast recording. Cheap
Right?
plug. And literally, when we finished recording, I went to my Twitter and it was just Corey's tweet, Vince's tweet, all the tweets saying, and it was like, oh, damn it. I'm sort of glad that I didn't know because it would have distracted me during the recording, but it's like, damn it, still.
I mean, we have literally broken news on this network before numerous times. Some good, some really bad. And actually, a tribute video that you shot just went up on the network like minutes ago.
Yeah.
So if you want to
Just
check
a
that
briefing
out.
because I saw a briefing because I knew that basically we talk about it on here in much more depth because obviously then you'd get a chance to speak about it because you've been busy watching Bill and Ted 57 times at least.
Only 7, but still, I mean, lots of stuff going on. Obviously, this is the time of the year when I kind of like tune out everything,
Yeah.
and we do. But I mean, basically, like I said last week, I'm your moderator because I am not able to focus on pro wrestling for the months of September and October because of Halloween Horror Nights. And speaking of that, cheap plug, Halloween Horror Nights Popcast. We did that right before we hit the hurricane, like the night before it happened. Yeah, that's 4 hours long, and it's up here on this network. And it's not the only one we're doing, and that's all I'm going to say right now. So let's get to the news. Yeah, welcome, Pedro. I missed it too, so we'll get to that in a minute. So you sent me the message, and I went to go to Facebook and Twitter and everything to confirm it, and there it was. So growing up, you have a lot of heroes, right? You have like Batman, of course, and like your parents, and like various other things. When you're a wrestling fan, you have your heroes like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and like Jake the Snake Roberts. Like you were a kid, you grew up on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I, growing up, I was always I don't like the good guys, I like the bad guys. And growing up, I had a lot of idols in this business. And one of them, among others, was Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
When I was fortunate enough to be involved in the wrestling business many moons ago as a professional wrestling manager, I took a lot from Bobby. the way I dealt with the crowd, the way that I interfered in matches of whomever I was managing at the time, and my absolute insane bump taking whenever it had to be done. One of my absolute favorites to this day. I know this was kind of extreme, but it's how it works. I told this person in the crowd that I cut Dale Earnhardt's brake lines. That was fun. Got me a lot of good heat. Surprised that I'm still alive to this day because of that.
Yeah.
And the night that Tracy Smothers came in and did a one-shot for us. And he brought Jesse Bell with him. And we actually did a segment with Tracy where this was right after Bryan Danielson got, quote, fired from WWE. I grabbed my tie and I choked Jesse Bell in front of Tracy Smothers while my team held him. And later on in the night when we did the main event, I was obviously managing and she was in the corner of Tracy and Tracy's partner. And one of the things that's the most interesting about that is when she finally got her hands on me, she super kicked me in the chest. I did a complete back roll, landed on my face, place went nuts. I would never have had any of these experiences in the wrestling business if it wasn't for Bobby Heenan.
They fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
My God, yes, they did. And growing up, the Heenan family was the end-all, be-all for me. And I remember growing up watching like the old Coliseum videos where there is a one that exists where the Ultimate Warrior was feuding with Bobby the Brain Heenan, where there was a weasel suit. Can't forget that. Like, Bobby started out in the wrestling business just like we all did, one way or another. Started out as a wrestler. Not the greatest of wrestlers, but he was a lot more for his mic abilities than his wrestling abilities. And that's the reason why he did such great things. Obviously working with Nick Bockwinkel and AWA, and then moving on to the WWF, and of course the Heenan family. Like, listen to this roster of names. Ken Patera, Playboy Buddy Rose, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, Harley Race, Haku and Tama the Islanders, Hercules, the Barbarian, the Red Rooster, the Brooklyn Brawler, yes, and even my absolute favorite of all time, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, as well as Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah, but where's Iron Mark shop? Ah!
Oh boy.
Where I watched the wrestling, they did a whole load of stuff, and one of them was the Primetime Wrestlings, which actually had an Iron Mike Sharp match.
Yes.
From seeing the Wrestling with Regret stuff, I just thought he was being a knob when he was doing the whole Jewish fencing thing.
Yes.
But no, even in bloody Madison Square Garden, he's just hip toss.
Oh my God, it was amazing. And the thing about Bobby as well, one of the things I do remember very well, speaking of my time in the wrestling business as a manager, the finish, the WrestleMania finish, where the Ultimate Warrior was pinned by Ravishing Rick Rude when Warrior tried to suplex Rude back in the ring. Heenan grabs the leg, holds it down behind the referee's back, and Rude gets the win. I did this finish before. Proud to say that. All the awesome stuff, the Bobby Heenan show, primetime wrestling with another great Gorilla Monsoon.
It's not fair to Flair.
Oh my God, it's not Flair to Flair. Royal Rumble night. Oh my God. And then Lex Luger, when he was the narcissist, like all the great stuff that Bobby did with Vince and Gorilla, and then of course the first edition of Monday Night Raw from the Manhattan Center, where literally Heenan ended up dressing up like a woman to try to sneak in the building after he got thrown out.
And a Yiddish person.
Oh my
God
God,
knows
it was
how many
amazing.
other gimmicks.
WCW, so many things he did in WCW, including the time that he dropped the F-bomb on national television because Brian Pillman grabbed his neck. Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Keep in mind as well, and I didn't realize this until looking into it, he had a very brief spell in TNA as well.
Yes, he did.
And he might have managed Bobby Roode, but he didn't, which is annoying.
I remember this actually. I think it was like it was Bobby. I think it was Sherry, and I think there was one more that were trying to be Roode's manager. And it's really nice that in the year 2009, on December 5th, it was declared in Milwaukee, Wisconsin as Bobby Heenan Day. He's read a few books. He was he did commentary for Showdown Legends of Wrestling video game. Of course, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He had a great DVD box set that was put out in 2010. And then, unfortunately, in 2002, it was announced rather quickly that Bobby had throat cancer. And he started to not be the same Bobby Heenan that we all knew. And he was still in great spirits throughout everything. He got reconstructive surgery 5 years later in December on his jaw. And he had a couple of those. He got brought out of a medically induced coma. He wasn't even able to speak as well. He's just pretty much blinked. And then finally, Jim Ross in 2013 was interviewed, and it said that he's hanging in there. And because he had cancer treatments, he was unable to really speak very well. He broke his shoulder when he fell out of bed in 2014. And 2016, he broke his hip. And yesterday, Bobby passed away at the age of 72 at his home in Largo, Florida. I'm telling you, Largo is further away from me. It's kind of close to Tampa. So, I mean, in the general vicinity, but still a ways away. But, I mean, we talk about Raw. We always have pay-per-views to build too, stuff like that. We got the Wednesday show to just talk a little about everything. But tonight, I mean, I kind of just wanted to talk about Bobby before we did anything else. Like, he was my inspiration. And so many things, so many great moments, so many tremendous one-liners. Like, there is no one will ever be Bobby Heenan. No one will ever be as great of a manager and great of a character as Bobby Heenan. I mean, you have obviously Jim Cornette, which is someone as well that I identify with. And given the fact that my first gimmick in the wrestling business was Ace Spalding with a tennis racket, and being able to manage in front of Jim Cornette at a show a long time ago was very awesome. And the fact that I'm still, and to this day, the closest thing you could say that will ever get to a Bobby Heenan in this day and age is Paul Heyman. And, I mean, no matter what, we can get close to it, but I can tell you right now, it will never, ever be the same. Moving forward, there will never be another Bobby Heenan. And I have a feeling right now there's matches going on somewhere beyond the clouds where Bobby's at ringside with Kurt and Rick and helping them cheat like only he can. tonight, we pay tribute and dedicate the entire show to the memory of Bobby the Brain Heenan, and our condolences are with his family and friends.
Definitely.
I just had to. I mean, I didn't even know what happened. I just kind of like, you sent me a message. I didn't even know. I wish these are the times it'd be nice to actually know about what's going on. And like, for example, Tom Arnold, the last person I would ever expect to post anything. He says, if pro wrestling isn't real, why have I spent the past hour watching Bobby the Brain Heenan videos quietly alone in my hotel room? Very, very true.
Just because I want to mention this, because I'll probably forget it on Wednesday, because it probably won't be featured in any of the news bits. The turnbuckle pads from Bowler, signed by Ricochet, Jeff Cobb, and Keith Lee, all 12 of them, have just gone up for charity auction on eBay.
Cool.
They're already at about $50 each already, pretty much.
Very nice.
So as it stands, that's what, 12 times 50, $600 at least.
Wow.
And the auctions don't finish until basically just before Raw next week. So, you know, they could easily go up a lot between now and then. Also, apparently, and I need to check whether it's actually been officially announced or whether we've only found this out thanks to Wrestle Circus. Yep. Oh, no, they did tweet it out 2 hours ago. PWG's All-Star Weekend comes back over the weekend of October the 20th and 21st. We're only a month away from 2 nights of craziness in LA. And by the way, the highlights from night 1 / the DVD teaser also just went up a few hours ago as well, so you can catch that. Also, High Spots uploaded the complete Kevin Owens show with Matt Hardy, all 2.5 hours of it for free. So check that out. Mainly because it's better than what we had tonight. Jeez.
Sounds like these are nights that I'm glad that I missed Raw again.
There was interesting bits, but it's sort of like some of the stuff, the way it was executed was like new. So they do the graphic for Bobby Heenan even before the WWE logo and everything. So, you know, we're going that hardcore on it. So Kurt makes his way out and hypes up Cena versus Reigns and Strowman versus Lesnar. And Kurt's about to announce more. But Miz and Miztourage come out. No, Maurice. It appears she's actually on maternity leave. And Kurt congratulates Miz on the news, and Miz is like disgusted that, you know, for the second pay-per-view in a row, the IC title's getting left on the card. And Kurt says, well, before you interrupted me, I was going to say that you will be defending the title against the winner of a fatal 4-way match tonight between Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Elias, and Jason Jordan. And Miz is like, oh, Jason Jordan, what a surprise. You know, I'm sick of all the special treatment that your son's getting. It's as if you're trying to sort of, you know, make it up to him by giving him all these opportunities, whereas my guys, the Miztourage, work their butts off, deserve their chances. You know, all this stuff making up for the fact that you weren't there for 28 years of his life, and all this means Jason's music hits. And Jordan walks at pace of the ring and says, don't talk about my father like that anymore. Kurt, if it's okay with you, I want Axel and Dallas added to the match. So therefore, when I beat them, Miz will have no excuses as to why that I'm the one that's challenging him at No Mercy. So Kurt says, okay, this Fatal 4-Way is now a 6-pack challenge, which wasn't elimination rules, so I don't know why it was a 6-pack challenge. And Miz says, well, really? You've made the odds even less for you? You clearly just as incompetent as your dad is. And Jason starts brawling with him, and the Miztourage return the favor, but they eventually just leave because I guess they're going after the Miz, and Miz sort of rolls out, and we're building it to later on. Then after the ads, Jason's angry backstage, and Kurt just says, look, you need to focus. And Jason says, look, I've heard the voices and the rumors and the murmurs, you know, about how people see that I'm treated differently since the whole reveal, and says, that ain't going to disappear. You know, they keep doing it to me as well. But the thing is, some things you just need to put aside. And in all honesty, your performances and getting up the ladder is way more important than getting revenge by what somebody said to you. So then it's Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. And Alexa's trying to get out the ring as soon as possible, and Nia's just in there saying, come on. The match has to be in the ring. And Alexa keeps trying to get the advantage in everything, but Nia keeps stopping her. So she's just like, okay, I'm going. Cue Sasha Banks' music. And she sort of comes out, backs her back down the ramp, and Nia just levels her as they go to ads. And then within a few minutes of going back, Nia wins with a Samoan drop. Because what finisher is she using this fucking week? So then Sasha goes in to try and get an attack on Nia, but Nia just shrugs it off. And then Bayley shows up. To a pretty good response, actually. I don't know what the attendance was like, by the way, considering how the rumors are it was just as bad as it was last week. And that was like a tapered off hard camera section from what I remember last week. So Bayley, Sasha and Alexa all tackle down Nia, sort of spear style, and she gets out the ring and just heads off, and Alexa's like trying to make up with, trying to be friends with Sasha and Bayley, only Sasha gives her a kick, Bayley with the Bayley to belly, and the faces celebrate. We'll get to that. So then they have the first set of tweets paying tribute to Heenan. Then they have a pretty good video package hyping up the Universal title match, looking at Brock's early years and Strowman's early years, and then their clash ever since the build started. Cole's going to be interviewing them both later. So then Sheamus and Cesaro make their way out, and Sheamus talks about how nostalgia is prevalent in today's culture. You know, look at Blade Runner, you know, look at Twin Peaks, look at all this stuff. People love escaping the harsh realities to go back to the good old days that they cherish. But the fact is, they destroy nostalgia acts. Look at the Hardys. And then they talk about how they'll beat Ambrose and Rollins because they are only using each other for their own selfish needs. And the truth is that they can't stand each other. And the Bar will be able to pick up the pieces and the belts. Then here comes Seth and Dean. And they say, well, you say about nostalgia and everything. Both you two sort of look like if Taxi Driver, not naming Travis Bickle, of course, met up with the guy from Braveheart. Which I don't think is appropriate for Cesaro, but either way. But it says, you know, brother, and, you know, Dean's like, look, brothers fight and squabble and everything, but they're still brothers. Cue the Good Brothers and goes, now, Sheamus and Cesaro, You walked out on us, so you're clearly not good brothers.
Nope.
And, you champs are just, not trustworthy and don't trust each other.
Yep.
You hear nothing but nerds. And Dean and Seth's just like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. And Dean just sort of turns his head and is like, gradually sort of walks up to the guys because they're all in the ring and just goes,
Nobody
calls me a nerd. And all 6 men brawl. So guess what? Impromptu change. We're having a triple threat tag team match. This time with the gimmick being that there's only 2 legal men at a time. So one team's getting a rest. I can't think why they did that Australia and New Zealand tour. Still, this was a good match. They gave this quite a bit of time. With Sheamus and Cesaro getting the win after sneaking a blind tag on Dean Ambrose as he was getting ready for the Nigel. So Dean hits Dirty Deeds on Anderson, and then Sheamus throws Dean out, steals the pin, and Cesaro and Sheamus are victorious. Champs retain on Sunday. Probably. Yeah. And then Miz is motivating his guys backstage and says, nobody should be better than me, Especially, I don't want to be sent up by imbecile of a GM and his, illegitimate son and everything. And Mr. Raj goes, and mainly Bo just goes like, look, I'm a guy that used to make quite a lot of motivational speeches, and the fact is, rather than talking about yourself, you should sort of be hyping us up us guys. And they both talk about their lineage, and Miz goes, yes, very true. It's up to you tonight to make sure that Jason doesn't steal your spotlight. Dog spotlight, maybe? I don't know. So then we get a career retrospective on Cena and Reigns, which was very well put together. Looking at their debuts, yes, even bloody Roman in what? Would it have been OVW at the time, I guess? Or would it have been the original NXT before it even actually got on television? Or on the network? The old stuff, when it was actually developmental. So Kurt's on the phone, and then Goldust comes in, except it's Dustin Rhodes. And he wants a second chance against Bray, and he's asking not as Goldust to a boss, but as Dustin Rhodes to a friend. He wants to prove that he's no pawn in Bray's little game. And Kurt says, all right. Dustin says, Bray will never forget the name of Dustin Rhodes. And then because he can't let go of Goldust, he does the thing. So now Kurt Hawkins is out saying, the Star Factory is no more. Instead, it's time to make history. Because my 114 losing match streak is coming to an end tonight. The fact of the matter is I'm very fit and healthy, and my opponent will just be a footnote in history. His opponent's Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews wins. Enough said. So then we have the Michael Cole from the commentary table interviews via green screen / backstage with Brock and Heyman and Strowman. And Cole points out, you're the underdog, Brock. And Brock's just like lost for words. And Heyman goes, if I might butt him. The last time Brock was an underdog like this was against some guy called The Undertaker. And we all know what happened there. And then Cole was asking about, Braun, whoever he's confident, and says, look, surely my actions speak louder than any words could do in terms of my confidence. It's mine. Then Heyman interrupts the next question, which I think is like about clearly Brock's training for somebody like Braun, and he goes, "Oh, no. Brock isn't capable of training for somebody like Braun because there only is one Braun. He's the one of a kind sort of guy." Not RVD. That's my words. Whatever. It's a unique situation. There's nobody like him. And Strowman just comes in and says, like, I'm ready to knock Suplex City to the ground. And Heyman's like, look, what you did has only determined my client in that Suplex City is just going to have to go all night long. Suplex after suplex after suplex is going to be needed in order for him to retain. And then Braun goes, it doesn't matter. I'm the puppet master. I'm the one that's in control here. And then there's another question to Braun. Heyman goes, whoa. Why are all these questions to Braun? Surely the questions should be to the champion. It's his title to lose, which he won't. And it's not like he's going to make it easy for him, like it's a cakewalk. So surely the question should be to my client. And then Brock just sort of gets off his stool and goes,
Braun, I thank you for backing me into a corner. Because that means you're going to get me at my best on Sunday. Suplex City, bitch!
Great segment. Even with Brock barely doing anything. And then straight after this, let's do a bloody Roman's message for Cena. Except they recap the women's match from earlier.
Guess what, Owen?
What's that?
5-way.
Oh, dear God.
Bailey's getting added in.
Why?
Because somebody's going to get fucked by Asuka. And Barlon! Roman comes out and says, look, Cena's a great talker, but sometimes he says stupid shit. Yeah. Apparently we're cussing now. I mean, it got censored out and everything, but geez. And says, look, I'm nothing like a copycat Cena. Otherwise, I'd have a buff cut and a stupid muscle regime and an ugly assortment of attires. Plus, I'd be out of a job. Hell, just ask Alex Riley. And at this point, I'm going,
writers, this is not the way to feed the smokes because I am seeing through this completely.
Cena's clearly a fake-ass bitch, and he's, one of the biggest hypocrites that there is, and replays one of Cena's promos in February of 2012, hyping up Mania 28 back in Miami, and saying, Rock, came in at WrestleMania 27 saying, finally I've come home, I'm never leaving, and then he left. And then he's getting the win at Mania 28, the once in a lifetime. And Roman says, you guys want to see John tonight? And they seem to be responsive. And he says, well, I'm afraid he isn't here. Proving all it is that he lies. He's never leaving. And he's gone to Hollywood. And I'm going,
he was in fucking China, son. We know this. That doesn't help your argument. You idiot.
And he says, don't worry. The result will be exactly the same as it was back in Mania 28. Only it's a different Samoan that's going to be winning this time. See you Sunday, movie star. And it was just like, oh my God. See, Cena may be able to spin it, but Cena can say it in a way where it doesn't feel like it's been written by a fucking 5-year-old. Roman's conduct for this bit was just like, Jesus Christ, son, what the shit are you doing? And as I put in my notes in here, let's be honest, he's not a good talker. He's not a bad talker. He's a shit talker. Quite literally. Tonight, at least. So then Renee's interviewing the Hardys, only sighting of her because of reasons. Apparently they've been fighting since birth and are willing to go at it again, to see whoever the best Hardy will be in terms of getting that shot against the Miz. No sort of real big teases towards anything to do with the woke stuff. Possibly because I don't know what the fuck is happening with Impact. We'll get to that because I don't think even Owen knows. Because holy fuck, clusterfuck. We'll mention that later on because I want Owen's thoughts on it because it's like, geez. So then we get Bray Wyatt making his entrance, so he's facing Dustin next. Then we get some Sun Tzu quotes for Asuka because, Asuka's Chinese. Does anybody notice the issue here, guys?
I think that the great thing is it's just they're trying, but it's not working.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. Like, describe it. Like, they're trying, but it's not working.
So they then stills. We're still doing stills recaps for SummerSlam, by the way, even though it's a month ago. For the Demon versus Bray Wyatt, because apparently that's a difference. And then here comes Dustin Rhodes, and within about 3 minutes loses to Sister Abigail. Then Finn comes on the screen. He says, I've got to tell you a story about a shy little boy who buried his head in the books about gods and monsters while everybody else was outside playing and having fun and games. Over time, this boy became a man. A man who contained and controlled all this anger that he had, just like all those mythological monsters, and created a demon that could occasionally channel these. Now, the question you've got to ask is, if the demon was created by the man, doesn't that make the man more dangerous? See you Sunday, Bray. So many people see you Sunday stuff. Then we got Enzo backstage. He's going to be coming out next. Then more Bobby Heenan tributes and a very damn good video package with some of the best stuff, including the Mean Gene golf stuff and obviously some classic Gorilla Monsoon stuff, including that bit when they basically nearly fell off the ship because the water was that rocky. So here comes Enzo, and it's like, I'm doing pretty good. Getting ready for Braun! And the crowd was just like, yes! Fuck Enzo! He just levels him, destroys him, drags him down the ramp, throws him from the floor, through the second and third rope into the ring. Thank you, Strowman! Chants galore, and super choke slams him, lifts him up practically like 7-8 foot high and slams him down, gives him the running power slam. And he then gets on the apron and goes up a ramp and goes to the back. Neville's music then hits. And he comes out and sort of walks aside so Braun can walk past because Neville went messing with it. And, Enzo's still down, dead on the mat. not doing anything. And Neville climbs up the turnbuckle, hits him with a red arrow, and goes, "Give me a mic." And then he's just like, "Hey Enzo, how you doing?" And that's it. More cackling. God damn it, Neville's probably losing on Sunday. I am pissed as hell. Ugh. So we actually get a match with Neville because he's taking on Grand Metalik. One nice touch that I didn't like, and I don't know whether this is because of a nod to CMLL. Neville did try and rip off Grand Metalik's mask. He pissed him off, but after a few minutes, Neville got the advantage, put on the rings of Saturn, and Metalik had to tap. And now it is time to mark Hispanic Heritage Month. So which wrestling great do you think we had for the first week of Hispanic Heritage Month, Owen? Which of the great Hispanic names do you think they'd highlight in terms of their contribution to entertainment in the WWE world? Any ideas?
No.
Jennifer Lopez. What the fuck? So then Elias is doing a song, ripping on San Jose, ripping on The Miz and the Miztourage, ripping on Jason Jordan. And then the Hardys interrupt. Then Jason Jordan, and finally Miztourage with Miz as well. Pretty good match, although somewhat brief because it only went about 10 minutes, even with an advert sort of added in. And we had the old everybody hitting their finisher deal happening. And eventually, despite the fact that Miz threw Jordan into the ring barrier to try and get him out of it, Jordan managed to make his way in and hits Curtis Axel with the neck breaker combo. You know, Curtis Axel's old finisher on Curtis Axel. Yes. So then afterwards, you know, Miz is sort of reeling from the fact that he's going to be having faced Jason Jordan, gets in the ring, and they go face to face. Miz goes for a cheap shot. Jordan dishes out a couple of the suplexes. And then the Miztourage come in and, you know, even the odds and obviously beat down on the face. And Miz goes, "This Sunday, nothing's going to change because I'm still going to be champ. Kurt's still going to be a terrible father. And you, Jason Jordan, you'll still be a bastard." And Miz poses with the belt as Raw goes off the air. So apparently tonight's show may as well have been brought to you by the words fuck, shit, tits, vagina, and cunt. Because it felt like, you know, we had bitches, we had bastards, we had shits. Like, geez, what's going on? What is going on? So that's Raw. So now this is the big thing. And, I mean, it's partially going to hurt Owen because, you know, he goes to these shows and has been a supporter of it in the past. But it's really getting to a point where it's LOL TNA, even though it's not called TNA anymore. So even though they said to Owen at the tapings, we're doing Bound for Glory here and we're doing the tapings, they've now changed that. They're going to be doing it in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, at a convention hall which has no seats. That could be interesting. However, because it's in Canada, Jim Cornette can't go because of previous offenses in terms of assault that he did earlier on in his life. Therefore, he is no longer part of Impact Wrestling anymore. So we're going to have yet another authority figure within the space of about 6 weeks. That's going to be the third authority figure in about 6 weeks. Hell, if you include Bruce Pritchard, fourth in 6 weeks. And on top of that, in all the publicity for this Bound for Glory, it's not referred to as GFW. It's just referred to as Impact Wrestling. This is despite the fact that all the titles are currently GFW titles that they've already spent thousands on getting commissioned, which is all going to go down the shitter. What the fuck is going on? I don't even know whether Owen's awake and actually or whether he's trying to comprehend whatever the shit was happening. Oh, also, did you catch any of the Mae Young Classic, Owen, or not? Owen, we're nearly getting to the end.
I'm here.
Did you see any of the Mae Young Classic stuff or not?
I wanted to so bad, I just didn't get a chance to.
Because you might want to.
Oh yeah, of course.
Especially the first and the second rounds featuring Princessa Suhei, because she lost a mask at the CMLL anniversary show, so we now know who she actually is. So I guess that was a bit of a sort of like, I don't know, final farewell to the gimmick before literally like a couple of weeks later, at least in terms of when it aired, she's now going to be unmasked. And Pedro brings up a good point, because I just noticed this. So, Greensboro Coliseum put up an interesting listing today, because on the 25th of November, the Greensboro Coliseum is advertising Starrcade. The only problem is, one, it's a Saturday, and two, it's literally the week after Survivor Series. And the SmackDown pay-per-view Clash of Champions is happening like 2 weeks after this. So I've got a feeling they're advertising it as Starrcade, even though the only people that will know it's Starrcade are the people in the fucking venue. In which case, why give it a title? Seriously. You know, it's certainly an interesting card to some extent that they've advertised. We got Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, a Texas Tornado tag match, which is weird because we're in North Carolina, with New Day and the Usos, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, and Rusev in a US title triple threat, and then a double main event steel cage match combination with Natalya defending her women's title against Charlotte, and Jinder Mahal defending the WWE title against Nakamura. along with apparently appearances from Ricky Steamboat, the Rock and Roll Express, and the Hardy Boys. Because reasons. There are some reports that basically all these WCW names for shows are going to be coming back, at least in terms of live events, not just, specials on the network or whatever, but actually sort of they're going to just use them for live events. So I guess when they're in North Carolina sort of next time, sometime in March as they build up to WrestleMania, they'll randomly have a show called Spring Stampede. Probably. Who knows? Messy as shit. So, yeah. It's been a busy-ass weekend. Complicated as shit. Anyway. I think that is all for us this time around.
Very nice. Pedro in chat. Sorry, it took a while to get to him, but I'm going to mention this. Bobby will forever be missed. One of the first matches coming to mind, Hogan and Bundy in the cage. Yes, totally agreed.
Oh, Mania 2, yeah.
WrestleMania 2. Getting beat up by Hogan all around the cage. One of my favorite matches in history. A lot of fun memories in the WWF that Pedro loved about Bobby. He loved his awesome announcing. It made you laugh and made you hate him. And he always got respect by the universe. And
I did realize as well he was sometimes not very PG because there was a bit from one of the shows in Paris, which was a match between Velvet McIntyre and Sensational Sherry for the women's title.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the spots was a little sort of like out of control. I think it was sort of like a Hurricane Rana style bit, or possibly a suplex. I'm not sure. And bloody Gorilla was saying, well, I don't think the landing gear was fully out for that one. And bloody Bobby goes, nah, just the flaps. It's like, God damn it, Bobby.
Good
You
Lord.
can't say that. Oh.
So many great things.
Yeah. WWE. I'm trying to think. Was the new mobile game Mayhem? Or is that one they've just announced or teasing?
Yep. I'll probably have that before too long, too.
Yeah, to me, Mayhem is the WCW video game. It's not actually a pay-per-view.
It is.
I can't wait for WWE coming to Madison Square Garden with Backstage Assault. Then everyone will go, no!
I'm interested to how Starrcade's going to work.
I honestly think it's a house show and they're just trying to use a special title to draw people in. It's like, no.
If they're smart, they'll put it on the network.
I mean, would they want to, though?
I would.
Thing is, if they did, they'd run unopposed. Because there ain't... Well, I mean, there'd probably be baseball stuff and maybe, but NFL won't be running on Saturday. That's another thing to mention. I should probably... I'm not looking at tonight's score. I'm just looking ahead to that Thanksgiving, or I guess the weekend before Thanksgiving. Philadelphia versus Dallas. That might be a big match to some extent. That's what's going head-to-head with Survivor Series, certainly. What's No Mercy going up to head-to-head with this week? Raiders Oakland versus Washington. And then I think the week before... It's the 8th for Hell in a Cell, isn't it?
I believe so.
I think. Oh, Kansas City versus Houston. Maybe. either way, I think I better see if there's anything important that actually came out of the daily update on F4W that we could briefly discuss. Oh yeah, bloody Davey Richards.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year, isn't he?
Davey Richards wasn't in the TPI thing. And literally everybody on the internet went, no fucking shit. Apparently, he's undergoing right knee surgery. So, although he was making sure he was booked for matches sort of in September, all those are now having to be cancelled, including matches for Evolve this weekend.
Wow.
That's good. I mean, who knows? But having a quick look. Oh, interestingly, Cody basically said on Twitter that Goldust should be booked on the Starcade show, considering, you know, the history of like the Rhodes family and the Starcade name. And interestingly, Hayes said, you know what, you're right. And you know what? Even if it's a one-off, how about you come back and team with Goldust? Or is this just a way to get him back? Even if he is Ring of Honor champion. Because that would be awkward. Because if he's... Well, I guess if he hasn't signed a Ring of Honor contract yet, maybe they could get away with it. But then would Ring of Honor be happy? Oh, wait. Does that mean Minoru Suzuki's winning this weekend? Holy shit. And, yeah, other stuff. Interestingly, WWE is filming a lot of stuff backstage tonight regarding people's thoughts on Bobby Heenan. So it sounds as if they might be doing some sort of documentary somewhere down the line with like the guys in the back's thoughts on him and their, I guess, favorite moments. The shame they didn't actually put one on tonight. Instead, they put on, oh, look, it's story time because everybody wants to watch that. Not. God damn it. Now I need to have a quick look to see whether we've got anything after the pay-per-view on Sunday. Yeah, we're actually going to have Raw talk. Right. So Raw talk's back. Does that mean we're going to have Talking Smack after the pay-per-view as well, or not? We're only doing it for Raw shows. Who knows? Who the shit knows? Either way, I think that's your lot for this time around. Why are they showing all the Cruiserweight Classic stuff again? I guess it's the anniversary, maybe? Who knows?
Oh, that's your show.
There you go. Yep.
And Ashley will be joining us throughout the week with more wrestling wrap-up shows.
Yeah, there'll be the indie one, hopefully like Wednesday or Thursday, and then hopefully I can fit it around sleep and conventions to do the proper news show. And also the sort of, I'll be honest, I'm probably not watching any other wrestling this week because of everything that I've got to do and all that. So it'll just be me sort of reading off the results and the write-ups and stuff. I didn't even get to the NXT spoilers because I thought I'd save that for this week. Also, weirdly, I actually sort of caught up with Impact. So that's the one that's now not out of date. So it'll have to get back out of date if we're going to be doing Wednesday shows somewhere down the line. In sort of, I guess we'll talk about this off air, me and Owen, but I need to get a sort of idea of what the schedule is because from pretty much next week, it's going to start to become sporadic, isn't it? In terms of when we're doing live shows and when it's just going to be me covering. certainly this week with my schedule, it's going to be recorded stuff. Next week, are we okay for Monday and Wednesday or not?
Next week, I am not sure.
The 25th and the 27th, I guess it'll be.
25th, probably. 27th, not sure.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You'll be finding out probably when I get told, and I'll put it in one of the, videos in terms of when we're next on live. But yeah, I've got to go and see Andy Serkis.
Fair point.
I just added that today. I was like, shit, son, if he's there, I better be the first in the queue.
That's going to be your show. This will be the last show that I'm going to be doing that I will be 35. I will be 36 in a couple days. So the 21st is my birthday. So yes, looking forward to that. So that's going to be a fun time. Doing an Unmasking the Horror tour with Darren and Howard and a few of their friends. And I'm going to be having a few excellent adventures in the meantime, of course, with some good friends. So. That's going to be your show. Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Ash is my name UK, where apparently at the minute I'm talking about how average the ritual is.
All right. I'm on Twitter at Suro and Disney, and check out the network of Popcast Network, Facebook fan page of Popcast Network. And that's going to be your show. As always, in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that once more this evening you've chosen a Popcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
World's gone wild. Yeah, I'm randomly doing that. Except press the stop button.